The Dutch royal couple has paid a visit to South Africa, but they have been met by the indigenous people in South Africa, angry protesters, as their visit reminded the indigenous people of South Africa, to be exact, in Cape Town, the Khoisan tribe, the country's involvement of 150 years of slavery. Hello, I am Mahlet Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from the continent. Today, we are going to look at why this Dutch royal couple, King Willem Alexander and Queen Maxima, were booed in South Africa in this last week, and also what exactly happened despite Dutch government, both the Prime Minister and the King apologizing for their involvement, for their country's involvement in this dark history of slavery, why the book continues, and also a bit of a background regarding Netherlands' involvement in slavery, and which European countries have so far apologized for their involvement in slavery. All those things we will bring you here at Connect Africa, so stay tuned. Thank you all for being here. Yeah, so let's just look at why they were booed in South Africa, or what exactly happened. As you know, a number of programs have been part of their visit, for their 3 days official visit in South Africa. So these protesters, they met them in Cape Town when they were visiting a building or a house named as Slave Lodge. So the Khoisan people, the indigenous South Africans, or the Khoisan tribe, were here, as you can see, having these different slogans, and one of them were, "We are and the victims. You have stolen lands from our ancestors. What are you doing here?" And they also have actually went ahead and asked, "You have to compensate." Basically, that is the talk of a conversation of reparation. I would like to share with you, one of the Khoisan lady, what she has to say here. Just give me a moment and let's hear her together, what she has to say. This is the South African broadcast. The journalist is interviewing this lady.
With the crowd, as well as with the royal couple here. He's a princess from the Greek royal house, and she speaks to me now. Thank you so much for speaking to me. Can you just highlight what is the visit here of the Dutch royal couple mean to you, and what is your presence here at the Zico Museum today?
I first have to greet and say Kaites. Kaites Mera means that I greet you in his name. Now, when I arrived here at the scene, I was very cross, actually, because why they came to the slave place. We wasn't slaves. They come and enslave us here. And for me, I don't know if they're going to listen to our commands, what we're going to say. And I've heard that they said they are coming here to come and compensate us. With what are they going to come and compensate us? We, exactly as a collective, we wanted them to compensate us with projects. It's like hospitals, education, and especially our minds, which has been taken away from us.
If they do come back for that deeper, longer conversation, what detail would you put forward to them to say that we feel that this is at least some sort of compensation for our past, and that is something that they would be able to deliver on? What would you ask them to do?
Well, I can't actually say by myself. We need to be, as a collective Hottentot Council, we have to decide on it. And
yeah, so there you go. That is what you have heard. She was saying she's a princess from this Khoisan tribe. Now, I agree with her when she says that, they call it a slave house, or they call us a slave, but we were not slave up until they enslaved us. That's really a big statement from her. But with regards to when the journalist asked her, what do you want, from them, that's where my question and my doubt comes. Look, let me just raise one by one from that 1 minute conversation with the journalist. She says, first of all, she talked about the about the lodge house. The lodge house, it's called, slave lodge house, but I mean, if it has to be changed, it should be the South African government that should change it. It's up to the South African government, not really this Dutch royal couples, or I mean any former colonial power. But I don't think it has to be changed. Also, it's part of the history, so that the future generation knows what happened at that specific period of time in South African history. Another thing that she raises is that she says we want them to compensate us, and the compensation is, she says, education and hospitals. It's fine to have, to build hospitals for them, but education, that's where my doubt is. I mean, we're trying to decolonize ourselves as an African. When I say we, I am including myself. Most of the colonization continued even after, the Europeans have left the continent physically. It's because of their education system that it continues nowadays voluntarily. Also, we watch all, the mainstream media that's dumped to us, and, all this Hollywood creation of icons, and but mainly through education now. So to expect education from them, that's where I have, a doubt. I don't think that's a good thing. So but I do agree with the part of hospital and other, charity projects, if there is any. Also, she says, to compensate us in that conversation, she says our mind switch is taken away from us. So they have, nothing to do. I'm not trying to defend here the Dutch royal couple, not at all. But I want our people to be focused. Our mind should be, we can only decolonize ourselves, through unlearning the miseducation that were dumped to us through colonial education. So that's where we need to decolonize our minds first, to bring everything indigenous, to tell our people we were kingdoms and queendoms, and civilization starts from the continent. We are not saying that we are superior, as Black people. I'm including myself as an African, but this is where everything started. It's not, our history does not start from slavery and colonization, and that we should not expect that kind of education from the previous colonial powers, or slave masters, whatever they're called. That should come from our people, from us, from me, from you. We should start to teach it in our home. It starts, in our siblings, and then, to bring it to the education system of our country. That's my view. Another thing that I would like to share with you is that because in the title, if you see, it says they booed, the Dutch royal couples booed again. Yeah, in this year alone, this is for the second time. As you know, just to give you a background, the Netherlands is one of the a handful European countries that apologized, for their role in slavery, in this crime against humanity. This has been acknowledged by the Prime Minister in December 2022, and then also in July 23 this year by the King. So now, when they were doing their visit to the Caribbean, to Aruba, Bonaire, there are still islands that are called Dutch Antilles. So this lady from Aruba, her name is Mirelle Santiago. So she was actually who stood up and said, even if they say that there's no slavery or colonization anymore, but the country in most ways, not the country but the island, still in most ways is dependent on the government, and there are many things that are run by the Dutch government. I mean, these people have actually a passport of the Dutch passport. Whether that is good or not, that's something you might find most of the people saying this is actually good for us. That's debatable by itself. But I would like to give a recognition for this lady. Let me just share with you a video where she sings actually during their visit about freedom, Here it is.
Hiermee wilden ze aandacht.
Yeah, so this is that's as short as it is. This is when in the Dutch royals were making meeting the people there. That's where she protested, because freedom is not still achieved fully in the island. This is in the island of one of those the Dutch Antilles, either Aruba, Bonaire, or Curacao, one of them. Yeah, so that is back in July 2023. Now, another thing that I'd like to address is that, so the Prime Minister, let me just read this for you. This is what he did. The Prime Minister, Mark Rutte, apologizes for the past action of the Dutch state to enslaved people in the past everywhere in the world who suffered as consequence of those actions, as well as to their daughters and sons, and to all their descendants up to the present day. The Prime Minister gave the apology at the National Archives in The Hague in the presence of representatives of organizations that have pressed for acknowledgement of the effects of slavery. Also, this was back in December 2022. The king did the same thing. Let me just zoom in and read, some of the highlights. He says, "Today, as your king and as a member of the government, I make this apology myself, and I feel the weight of the words in my heart and my soul. But for me, there is another personal dimension. Slavery and the slave trade are recognized as crime against humanity. So despite all this, if this protest continues, that by itself, then it's an indicator of there is more things that needs to be done. Acknowledgement by itself, yes, it's a first step, but it's not enough. So whether it is the Netherlands or other European countries who have made those first steps of acknowledging their involvement in this crime against humanity, then have to take now another step, talking about reparation, which the European Union do not even want to face it. Okay, they are willing, of course, to send back the African descendants where they come from, but they don't want to talk about reparation, and that is the core of it. That is something that needs to be done. So this is why, otherwise protests everywhere will continue, even if these leaders or governments say that, oh, okay, you know what, we have acknowledged it. No, I mean, there's more things, more action. It's a first step, don't get it wrong, but there are more things needs to be done, okay? Like you have to bring now the work on the ground and implement it. What do you mean by that? Just to give you a perspective or a background, because you don't hear so much Netherlands in the history of slavery and colonization, but these are some of the countries, and islands that they have colonized Indonesia. Their history actually starts in the 1600s. That's where also they came as a so-called settler in South Africa. And now that they tell you, part their descendants, this is our country, that's what they tell you. Anyway, they have been in different all over the world, by the way, in all continents. Indonesia, Sri Lanka, the Netherlands Antilles, the Dutch Antilles, they are called the one I told you now in East Caribbean, Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, Suriname, and others, Tobago, Guyana, and also in Europe, in Luxembourg, South Africa, and parts of Malaysia and Eastern Brazil. All this was there. So there were also more territories that they have gained in more close to the 1700 in the US, where the place that, New York City, Albany, in New Zealand, and in Ghana as well. There have been more in the Gold Coast lines, which is in Ghana, Angola, Mauritius, and Malaysia. So these are the places. Now, in the Netherlands, although the slavery was abolished in 1863, that's exactly 160 years ago, but there are more things still to be done. Now, this is not only directed to the Netherlands, but to all other, European countries. I mean, there is Denmark, there is France, there is Germany, and then there is UK. UK also, it's in question because one time in his interview when he was a prime minister, what was his name? I forgot his name, but the prime minister said that slavery, when we did it, it was legal. That's what on a national television this man said. Okay, so I don't know, even if they say they apologize, they acknowledge, how much true it is, because still there are some Caribbean islands that are still who do not get their fully independence from the UK. Also, the European Parliament recently, actually in the summer, has acknowledged, but with regards to reparation, they are not ready for it. They are not ready for it. And that's what, as an African people, African descendants, and the African Union, if it was really a strong institution and Pan-African institution to the core, these are the things it should have facilitated. But right now, this agenda is only, as we see, it's only run by mainly the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Motley. It's very much in the agenda of Barbados. Really, kudos for them. And I think many other Caribbean islands, they really raise this issue. But we haven't seen the African Union speaking on behalf of its people. These are the people that went during slavery. These are our distant relatives. These are our brothers and sisters. It should have been able, it should have been, that institution should have been very vocal about this issue, but that misses from the African Union, unfortunately. Now, in terms of what needs to be done, first of all, I really would like to ask you, okay, is the apology, tell us, your view or your reflection on this. Is it enough only to acknowledge it? I mean, what more needs to be done? Is it enough for both Africans who are in the continent and in the diaspora? This question I'm asking, okay? Is it apology and acknowledgement by itself? Is it enough? And what about reparation? What do you think about the reparation? Now, obviously, the apology from the Dutch government comes after 160 years. It's too late, but nevertheless, it's kind of a signal now to push the second step, meaning reparation, to translate this into action. It's a big deal. I mean, do not get it twisted. it's a big deal, really, that they are acknowledging, or there are very few countries, but still it's a big deal and important first step. That's where, I mean, we cannot talk about reparation before that government, acknowledges and accepts its wrongdoing. So it's an important step that they have taken. Too late, but now it should be up to Africans to push this agenda and to bring it, to the ground, to implement the agenda of implementation, because it's really, important, apologizing for their colonial past and historical role in slave trade, in this crime against humanity. It's a first step, and it's also needed, it's a first step also, not only for reparation, but also, in general, to heal wounds of the past, because there are African people who live in their country who are descendants of that slave trade. So it's a first step. Yeah. So thank you very much. Let us know in the comment section, is apology or only a recognition by this previous colonial powers, is it enough for African people? What do you think? What about, pushing for reparation? What should we do? They said, the European Parliament actually said in this summer, when they acknowledged about their role and apologized, they said they will help those who want to go back to their motherland in Africa. So they might finance, the issue of transportation, but they are not going to help you with finance for you to establish your lives back your home. So this is why reparation should be on the table of every African country, and also the Caribbean, because by extension the Caribbean is also Africa. So yeah, thank you very much for tuning in again. Let us know in the comment section what you think of about this. Another royal, royal family or royal couple are going to visit to Nairobi. I think today they have arrived, King Charles and his wife. So we will talk about that next time. But let us know in the meantime about this one. What do you think? Is recognition only enough, and apology? What about reparation? Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. So a quick shout out. Yeah, so Rena Black, I hear you. Alvin Bingham. Royal Nubian, hello. Dorothy. No, the UK, not, it's not Rishi Sunak. It is the other one. I just forgot his name, yeah, he's a very known one, but I forgot his name. It's not it's not this one. Dorothy Temple, hello. Catherine Herman. They compensated the Jews, but they don't want to come. Exactly. For example, Germany, they went and acknowledged the genocide in Namibia, but they didn't do anything. And that it was a crooked apology, that apology, by the way. So, but yeah, they need to compensate as well. And that's what we talk about, reparation. Hi, Royal Nubian, Joto. They can, and by the way, okay, let me just try to answer this. Somebody asked Joto, can you answer from what African tribes were slaves sent to? I mean, in America, there are different African people, which their root is back to Africa. But what more important so is, in Africa, it was not the first Black people are not slaves. This is what they teach you in school, but no, that's wrong. There were all mixed. Black people were all over the world even before Christopher Columbus discovered. That's a lie. It's a wrong information. But people are, it's so instilled that even the so-called Pan-Africanists in America or in the United States, they don't know this. There were black people first. I mean, there are monuments everywhere. People just have to question and ask. We are so swamped, in the propaganda and what's dumped to us by the Hollywood. But we need to ask. There were the first settlers were black people in the United States of America. The Mayans, they were all, black people were scattered all over in Europe, in Africa, and also as far as North America, in South America, in China. The origin of all the people in all places, it's black people. So that's more even important, to know than which tribe is in the United. No, there were black people first there. Abdul Ghafoor, thank you very much. Yeah, so thank you all. Yeah, it's 25 minutes. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and give a like if you like what we bring you here, and also to share the videos. That's really, really important for us. It helps our YouTube algorithm. And those of you who are watching now, I'm sure most of you have subscribed, but if you didn't, go and subscribe, hit that notification bell whenever we have new stream, live stream, and also we upload video here. And also, if you want to support us further, in the description section you can find our PayPal accounts. You can donate any amount. It's all good for us. But please don't forget to share the video. Let's empower each other through information and knowledge. Until I see you on the next one, it's a bye-bye for me. Ciao. Thank you.